Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino, and we have two terrific guests here today. We have Scott and Joe from Indianapolis. How are y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I know we talked a bit before about what you guys do, but for those of us who don't know, could you introduce yourselves, where you're from, what your business is like.
Sure, Scott, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so Indianapolis here. I'm born and raised here. And I've been dabbling in real estate my whole life, watching the family kind of do it, stuff like that. Bought my first rental property in 2009. And then last, November, Joe and we met a year ago at church and decided to go out and have coffee, just kind of see what's up. I knew Joe was in business. At that point, just kind of dabbling in the real estate thing here and there. And, more on the flip side, right, as the buyer. And I told him what wholesaling was, and it was kind of funny because all of a sudden he was just like, wait a second, wholesaling, what's that? So we kind of went through that. I kind of told him, and he goes, well, can we start that? And I was like, yeah, like now? And he was like, yeah, like now? And I said, sure, bro. I mean, we could do it now. And so literally within 24 hours, Joe had already set up a Facebook page, a website. He was already running test ads, and he actually got our first deal within about 48 hours. So he kind of took it and run with it. And then he was like, hey, Scott, so we've already got a deal. How do we do this? And I was like, oh, no problem, bro. This is the easy part. So yeah, so that's kind of my background. And so now we've been doing the wholesale subject to stuff, some flips, just kind of whatever deal comes our way, we try to make it work for the owner, right? So if the best option for them is a wholesale, we'll go that route. If it's best subject to, we'll go that route, So try to be the best, solution. The Indy Solution is the company. Yep. And so we try to come up with the best solution for the person and make it a win-win for everybody. So that's kind of my background, and Joe's got a little bit different background.
Yeah, very similar. But so I started real estate in 2010. That's when I did my first flip down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I was in college, and tornado hit real bad. And a few of the properties that I found were really cheap. I mean, $10,000 for two lots I couldn't pass up on that. And did it, flip them, house hacked them, and then within, I don't know, maybe a year, I sold both of them for, I think it was like $230,000, something like that. So you can imagine the profit from there. And then I realized that this is actually kind of fun, and thought every deal was going to be that great in profit. But I realized it's not always that fantastic. So fast forward, like Scott said, 10 years later, I meet Scott, and as soon as I found out what wholesaling is, I'm like, that cuts out the middle work of having to find the property. I'll find the property and then flip it myself.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. So for those of us who don't know, could you kind of explain, how you got into wholesaling? I know you mentioned with the lots, but was there anything that kind of got your interest in wholesaling?
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing for me is, so I had always thought you needed a lot of money to get into real estate. And that's kind of like the misconception that so many people, you've got to have, $50, $60, $70,000. But with wholesaling, really, you're assigning a contract, and for lack of a better term, so you're finding a property and assigning it to an end buyer. So that's, minus ads, that's basically $0 down. And for me, that's like, well, that's cool. I don't spend any of my money and potentially make $2,000, $4,000, $5,000, whatever it may be.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and you don't have to deal with subcontractors, paying any sort of plumbing, electrical. Yeah. It's just paper.
Yep.
Yeah, and it gets it's nice because it helps you, like everybody, that I kind of tell people the natural progression of real estate investing, right? Most people start with wholesaling because they want to build their capital, right? And then they want to take the cream off the top, right? So now you have first access to these off-market deals. So now you can say, oh, okay, I've wholesaled about, however, 5-10 of these. I've made, $5,000 each. So now I'm getting some capital to do my own. And this one comes by and it's a real good deal, right? So now I'm going to take this one myself. Yeah. So it's not, and then you kind of start doing the flip thing, and then now you're a buy and hold, and it just kind of, and then later commercial, and it just kind of seems like that's the progression. So I know both of us, we flipped at the beginning, so a little different but it's wholesaling is a good place to start a business at, because you can start building that capital.
Yeah, I think the advantage that both Scott and I have is that we both have flips. So we know repair estimates. We know who to call when something goes wrong to give us a quote for something if we don't know something. Whereas a lot of like a beginner wholesalers, they have no idea the repair estimates. And so that's where a lot of times, and we'll talk about this later, I'm sure, but that's where a lot of our educating and our coaching goes on, is just like educating them how to properly estimate repairs.
Right.
So that's why I'm fortunate to have done a few flips myself. So I do know what a bathroom might cost, what a kitchen might cost. So, and like I said, that's what I think gives us the advantage compared to a lot of wholesalers in this area.
Absolutely. So what kind of, what kind of issues do you think that, you would maybe see that would kind of be, kind of a fire drill where you really need to call someone right now? What do you generally see?
As far as like, excuse me, as far as the flip game, or on the wholesale side?
Flipping.
Flipping. Yeah. I mean, well, I've never had one of those, and I know you haven't really had one of those, and mainly because we use our own money. And so I feel like my thought of hard money, I've never used hard money, and I don't think you have either. Yeah. So I feel like hard money would bring that up in carrying costs, right? So say you plan 3 months, you're going to refi out, and then, 2008 happens, right? And so your 3-month flip just turned into a 3-year flip. You're paying, prime plus 10 or whatever it is, right? I don't even know what the rates are because we don't even use hard money. So I feel like that would be the trap. I mean, for us, we're doing a flip down south right now, south side of Indy. And actually, funny story. See, I got something in my throat. I don't know. But funny story. Not funny at all, actually, but it's kind of one of those random real estate horror stories. Is we had the contractor lined up, used him before. Great guy. He's got a good team, but he's very involved, right? So we set up about 6 weeks of time for him to get everything done that we needed, and literally a week and a half in, he actually had a stroke. So very, business side really bad, personal side really bad for him as well. Luckily, he's fine now. It was just mild. So he took 2 weeks off. But again, the reason, so that was kind of a hiccup, but at the same time, like I said, we're using our own money. And so there was really no panic. It was just like, hey man, take the 2 weeks, don't, if that's what the doctor says, hey, this will be here. It was a cash purchase. So there were no carrying costs other than taxes, which in Southern Indiana is like dollars. I mean, it's like, I think it's like $50 a month or something. So realistically, the only thing it cost us was time. And that's the benefit of being able to do cash purchases like that. So whereas if it was hard money, that would have been super stressful.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. I'd love to ask y'all, I'm not very familiar with Southern Indiana or Indianapolis at all. I've been to Chicago. That's probably the gist of my Midwest experience, but can you kind of explain maybe, what the economy is like and, maybe what's going on in the market over there?
Yeah, it's very, you want me to take this one?
I got it.
You got it.
So I think Indianapolis every year, and Scott can correct me if I'm wrong, but every year Indianapolis is probably top 5 in real estate investing, from bigger pockets.
Everywhere.
HGTV is here.
Yeah, literally 20 minutes from us.
Yeah. So in terms of like the flipping game, you want to call it, I mean, all the big players, China, Israel, California, Florida, they're all here, which definitely adds a different dynamic to finding deals, because we're looking at the same deals that Israel is looking at deals.
Right.
Which definitely makes it harder and more competitive, but at the same time, that can also make it more fun because you've got to be on your game when it comes to your number, which, like I said, that's what adds to the fun of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I know the top 5 end up being, like Indianapolis is a big one, Atlanta, Dallas is a huge one. So yeah, it seems to hit like I said, I've been following it since I was a kid, watching my dad kind of run it like that. And even back then in the magazines, real estate magazines and articles, they'd be in the top 5. So a lot of growth potential for sure. And I think the big one is growth potential as well as a low entry point. So like we just sold one to somebody in Florida for $17,000. right? So, and they're going to flip that and put 50 into it. So there's not a ton of markets. If you're in California, that's not a thing. You can't even buy land for $17,000.
We sold when we started for 7.5.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
There's one, we almost got one for 500
yeah,
total.
Yeah.
And that ended up not working out, but that was
wow. How'd you find that? I'm just curious.
well, that's what it was worth. So it wasn't, it was a lot that had, I feel like, yeah, shed would be generous. Basically it just needed to be scraped, the piece of property, and you're buying it for the land. But the problem is, by the time the land was only worth about 5. So by the time you scrape it, take it all away and then start building something else, it just wasn't worth it. Yeah, it wasn't really worth it. So we offered them $500 and they ended up selling it for 800. Yeah, I think so. Not a lot of markets you can find something for, in the hundreds of dollars, right?
But then at the same time, you also have houses going for $1.5 million.
Right.
So,
yeah. Downtown's pretty hot right now.
Literally next door, you could have a house that's 800, and then the house over is 500, 600,000. So, I mean, swings all over the place depending on what street you're at.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the same with any big city, though, to be honest.
Sure, absolutely. So, I'm just curious as well. I mean, could you kind of explain what your shirts are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
you gonna
good.
go ahead and take it ahead?
No, you lock this one in.
All right. So
this is Joe's win right here for
yeah.
sure.
So PropStream is a ginormous data software that we 100% support so much that we contacted them. We're like, hey, we're referring people all the time to this software. Is there any way that we can become an affiliate? And I said, yeah, of course. And so they start checking out some of our YouTube videos, and they're like, yeah, I would like to be an affiliate. So basically what PropStream is in a nutshell, it is MLS access to the average investor. Everything. That's how we find our comps. That's how we find our sellers' phone numbers. That's how we find our properties. So
yeah, it's really the one-stop shop for real estate investing.
Everything. Yeah.
Especially for someone who's not a realtor. So if you're a realtor, you can try to use my board, but it still doesn't have some of the skip tracing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Sure.
I mean, we use it it's the only software we use actually, as far as real estate investment software and stuff like that. So
How about that? Could you explain what skip tracing is and how you guys use it?
yeah, so skip tracing is basically you go on PropStream, it'll pull, say you type in Dallas, right? So it pulls up all the stuff, and you can find, we have all these tutorial videos on YouTube that you guys can check out too if you have any questions, and we actually go through skip tracing. But in a nutshell, you type in Dallas, and then all of a sudden you'll have, it'll pull all the real estate records for Dallas, and then you start using the filters to filter that down into whatever strategy you use. So if you're wholesaling, high equity distressed properties, and then say that pulls you 1,000 homes, right? So you create a list, and you're like, wow, these are 1,000 homes. I'd like to cold call them, maybe mail them, do all this stuff. But I don't have their phone number, right? So you still got to get their phone number. If you want to do cold call, now you can mail them, obviously. But so in PropStream, you take that 1,000, you put it into a list, and then you run what's called skip tracing. And there's other softwares to do it. The reason we like PropStream is because it's a low cost to entry.
And it's quick.
And it's very, instantly. I mean, you can literally log on, set it up, and you can pull a list in 5 minutes. So, I mean, I literally just take you step by step through some of the videos, and in 5 minutes, you could be calling people. So, if you're doing high volume, and I'm talking huge companies that are doing 10,000 numbers, there's some other batch stuff where you can get kind of a better deal. But I mean, it's just, we got us 2 and then 3 employees. So we're only pulling a few hundred, numbers a month. I think we just pulled 672 numbers. So for us, it's just easier to have it all in one place rather than use all these different softwares. But yeah, it pulls and it's about keep in mind, it's about an 80-90% solution. So there's really, you're never going to get all the numbers and all that kind of stuff. But PropStream does a good job of vetting those too. So they do an initial search where it'll actually, so you have 1,000 properties to stick in. It may drop that right away to 900 because there's 100 that they couldn't find initially. And then, so now you search for 900, you pay for those, and then it'll pull, 800 and change.
Yeah.
And our success rate, somebody asked me on Facebook actually the other day what the success rate is of actually reaching the people with those phone numbers. And I mean, in Indianapolis, it's super high. It's also heavily invested, so there's a lot more information. Rural, it might be a little harder. But I mean, 90%.
Yeah, it's 80 to 90. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. So had you used other softwares in the past, or was it more so this was just a good fit for you guys?
Yeah, so a buddy of mine that wholesales down in Mississippi, I was talking to him a little bit while we were getting started. I said, "What software do you use? Have you tried any other software?" So he gave me about one or two that he tried, but he said, "Man, don't waste your time, don't waste your money on any other software. Try it out." And so we tried it out, and we looked at from some reviews, looked at some videos of it, and we're like, "Bro, this is amazing. I don't know how people do it without it." And like I said, there's other softwares, Deal Machine, Batch
Yeah,
Leads. I mean,
Batch,
there's a
yep.
bunch of them.
List source.
List source, yeah. But we just found that for our company, it was the best solution to what we wanted to accomplish.
Right. Yeah. Just really having that one-stop shop. I was actually doing a coaching call with a lady in, I believe it was Georgia today. Yeah.
North Carolina.
Well, her too. No, so I did a couple coaching calls today, but the Georgia coaching call was, that was my train of thought. Georgia coaching call. Skip tracing. Yeah. Anyways. So oh yeah. One-stop shop, right? So she said she's paid for some other coaching programs and stuff like that. And she said she realized that, she doesn't like having all these different apps open and all these different softwares and paying $100 here, $100 there, $100 there. She wanted it all in one place. So that's why, so she's been using PropStream now. We've been coaching her through how to find leads and skip trace and do all that kind of stuff. And so that's really, it helps to have it all right there. And then another fun fact we really like, and when I've been coaching, I've been noticing this. A lot of people don't have a good CRM, and we use HubSpot because it's free. Yeah, it's free. And you can do so much. So I don't know if you've heard of HubSpot or not.
Yeah.
But that's literally, we use PropStream and HubSpot. I mean, yeah, that's it. So, and the big one too is we're actually going to use Deal Machine more, but we were waiting to see what PropStream was going to do with the app a couple months ago, and they just blew the roof off with the app. I mean, totally. I mean, I was actually skeptical because I was like, okay, well, Deal Machine's been doing this for a while. It's kind of it's kind of the cornerstone of the Driving for Dollars app. And, version 1 of an app typically isn't that awesome. There's a bunch of kinks and stuff, but we downloaded it right away, went out and tried it, and it was awesome. So I said, yep.
I guess for me, I mean, and I would say this even if they didn't pay me, but I don't know how Deal Machine's still making money.
Yeah. Don't tell Deal Machine.
Yeah.
If you're using it. Good for you.
But no, yeah, PropStream is great. We love it. It has our all-in-one tool. I literally cannot imagine paying for other softwares because I don't know if I'd use them.
Yeah. And we have used other software, a couple I won't mention because we're talking to them right now about getting refunded. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So to be determined on that one. But,
okay, very good.
We're testing out a text blast software, and I'm finding that Joe's a born salesman, and I've been watching it also so long. So I'm not a born salesman, but I have the depth of knowledge to sell certain things. And so we're finding that we're better on the phone than the text blast software. So a lot of people, text blast is awesome. I mean, people are crushing it with text blast stuff, but for us, it's just, we've been using it a couple months just to try it out. And it's just, we really haven't been happy with it just for us.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm kind of interested in the text blasting because it kind of seems like, just 2 or 3 years ago it was kind of taboo. No one did it. No one really was open to that. And now everyone's using that as part of their, I guess, finding deals.
Right. Yeah. And actually you can go on Bigger Pockets and they've had, for free, if you search in the forums, there's a lot of engineered text that people have already used. Like one of the things I thought was funny, they were like, use a smiley face. Use emojis, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. So for me, text blasts are good. Don't get me wrong, but I think personally for me, God bless you.
Thanks.
I know for probably Scott and I, we both gotten a lot better response after calling them and they didn't answer than following up with a text. Right. Because they're getting millions. Think of a text blast. If it's that easy, everyone's doing it. Mm-hmm. So I would rather be different. And as soon as they see me calling them, they see that same number, text them.
Right.
So for me, that is a lot more personal, saying, hey, sorry, I wasn't able to contact you today, but I want to buy your house.
Right.
I feel like that's a better conversion ratio than just a mass text to 10,000 people.
Yeah. And that's our secret sauce, actually.
Yeah.
So, our employees, we have them text on. So when you skip trace, right, you'll get landline and also cell phones. So landline, you call them, leave a message. That's your only option, right? But for cell phones, it's always call first. If there's no answer, hang up. Don't leave a voice message. Follow up with the text message. So that way, like you said, you see it twice, right? Because a lot of times they're going to look at it and be like, spam, whatever, and then they get a text message. And I mean, we've had the text blast has worked for the cold call follow-up, which is not really text blast. But when we cold call and follow up with a text, I've gotten responses a month later, just randomly. They're like, hey, it's time to do business. Yeah. And I'm like, who is this?
I don't know,
what? I don't even know what address, right? Not really, because that's part of the text, but very random.
Yeah. I'd rather put a personal touch to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But.
And I really think one thing specifically on wholesaling, I've been telling a lot of people this on the coaching calls lately, is one thing we've been finding is a lot of people like the idea of wholesaling. I mean, it sounds great, right? Oh, you get this under contract, you just call them, and then you make $5,000 and flip it to this other guy. Well, right now, specifically in our time with foreclosures being shut down and evictions stopped right now in a lot of senses, they still are going on, but they're still stopped in some cases. Wholesaling is really hard. So if you're succeeding in wholesaling right now, you got to be happy, right? So, I mean, the big players in our town, I mean, they'll call us and say, because, I mean, we're just a year in, right? And we've have guys that have been here a decade, almost like we buy housescash.com or whatever it is, the big guys. I mean, that size. And they'll call us and say, hey, guys, we haven't got any deal in a week or two. Like,
do you have anything we can move?
Yeah. Do you have anything that you need help moving?
Yeah.
Just because with all this stopped, I try to explain to people, you've got 75%, which is conservative. Really, it's like way more than that. But 75% at least of wholesale deals are pre-foreclosure or distressed of some kind of eviction, auction, whatever that may be, right? So now you take those off the table. Now everybody's fighting for the last 25%. So I've been telling a lot of people, hey, just be patient in wholesaling right now, because once all the craziness is over, right, and then the backlog has time to catch up, it's not going to be it's not going to be a 2008 situation, because it's not a real estate problem, right? And I know Bigger Pockets is very outspoken on this. Hey, it's not a mortgage crisis like it was, 12 years ago. But there will be quite a few more foreclosures, and all the ones that were going to be foreclosed anyways that have been backlogged. So, it's a really good time to really educate yourself if you're interested in wholesaling and start trying it out. But I wouldn't, you've really got to be hustling, doing a lot of techniques, really be able to draw from, you're trying to wholesale this person, their absolutely no is their answer, but they would do a subject to deal, right? So you need to know how to transition to the subject to. Yeah. So having all those tools in the toolbox is really important right now. So that's just kind of my rant on wholesaling in, September 2020. Right.
But it will drastically change.
Oh, it will for
January, February, March.
Yeah, I was thinking it was gonna be July, but now we're in September. So. Yeah.
You and the rest of the world.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's right. Now, can you kind of explain a bit what subject to is, and kind of maybe a few of your wholesaling strategies?
Yeah, you want to take?
Sure, I'll tell you what subject to is essentially.
Yeah.
So basically, subject to, for those listening that want to know what it is. Basically,
well, first of all, remind them that we have a video dropping on what subject to is. Literally in 12 hours.
12 hours
from
this.
From when we recorded this.
So. I did not know about that. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now go. Didn't mean to cut you
no
off.
worries. So long story short is, so normally the typical wholesale deal is someone that has high equity, right? So you can flex with the price. Whereas if they have low equity, they probably won't take a loss for the property. It'd make no sense to them, because then they'd have a second loan. So that's where subject to comes in. And basically you're taking over the mortgage from them. You're paying on their mortgage and placing a tenant in there, pay down the mortgage for them while collecting the rent money. And that's the nutshell. You can watch the video for a deeper explanation. but that's all the nuts and bolts.
Yeah. So it's how to make money on retail deals as an investor.
Yeah.
Is the thesis. So I don't know if you have any more questions on that. It'll be in the video if you want to watch it.
Yeah. No, I'll make sure to drop a link in the description for y'all. But yeah, it just seems like, subject to, it kind of gets thrown around a bit. Just kind of wanted to clarify what it was.
Yeah. I mean, just know, I mean,
it's approaching low equity homeowners and
right.
finding a solution for them.
Right. Where they just, and in I just say crazy times. So non-September 2020, you can get those people before foreclosure that have low equity, where normally a wholesaler is going to find this person and they're like, oh, it's going to pre-foreclosure, but we can't make an offer because they owe $100 on a $100,000 house and we have to pay $20. Yeah. Right. So it's a situation where you can still make the $100,000 offer.
Yeah, I think for so many investors in today's time, that's how they're making their money is subject to, because like I was saying earlier, there is not a lot of wholesale deals right now.
Oh,
turn the light off. Give me a second.
There it goes. Oh, there it goes.
So there's not a lot of wholesale deals right now. So that's kind of like making, I think some of the big names like Max Maxwell, and a lot of the people that are the gurus in this sport, that they're even switching to subject to find their profit, their revenue somehow.
Right. We actually, it was funny because I think it was in April we were talking about it, because we've been going after subject to the whole time. Because it's just a good thing. It's a good revenue stream. So we've been going after it. And I was like, Joe, we really got to hit this, like get the subject to stuff. And then like a week or two later, he's like, hey, guess what Max Maxwell just switched to? He's like, you just switched to subject to. And I was like, I do know what I'm talking about. Yes.
You guys are at the forefront.
Yeah. So it's just another way to kind of like another tool in your toolbox to help the seller out. When in reality, that's why we do what we do. It's not to make money. It's not to, money's a perk, but I think Simon Sinek says you got to find your why before you do it, or you'll never make money.
Yeah.
So for us, and Scott would say the exact same thing, our why is to help the city of Indianapolis. Yeah. Our why is to help so many people that are struggling get out of their burdens. And normally we could, with a typical wholesale, you can only help somebody that has a lot of equity and they could sell at a loss. But now they introduce subject to, now you can help out
everybody.
I mean, everybody, theoretically.
Everybody, yeah.
So it's just expanding our wheelhouse to help everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that's kind of becoming more popular, people being more open about talking about, their why in their business. I even had another guy on the podcast a few episodes ago talking about how, a lot of his real estate was basically, his driving force for a nonprofit that he felt compelled to start. Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I saw that on the page. Yeah. You posted it on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you, if maybe rewinding back a bit, what was your first deal? If maybe you could walk us through your first deal, how you found it, kind of the little nuances or intricacies of the deal, and how it turned out.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So like I said, I was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, going to college, and a tornado.
Oh, do you want to do wholesale?
Oh, wholesale. Yeah. Our first deal was a company. Yeah, good point. Touche.
The one within 24 hours.
Yeah.
But we didn't make money in 24 hours, but.
Which one's that?
Cheryl.
Oh, yeah. So I posted and I forgot. It's been a while. I've been up. I got up at 4 a.m. this morning, so I am exhausted. Anyway, so long story short, so we had just talked about starting a company, and I said, let's do it. That night I got home and I was like, telling my wife all about it, saying about the company we're going to start. We're going to be millionaires overnight. She's laughing at me. So I post some ads. And I mean, within, 24, 36 hours, we have a lady that contacts the new business page that just created 12 hours before, saying, hey, I want to
stock photos included.
Yeah, stock photos included from like Adobe stock.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want to sell my home. Can you buy it? And we're like, this is easy. Sure. And so at that moment, I'm like, if every deal's like this, then we're going to be millionaires by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But anyway, so long story short, we did all the process. We got all the way to closing. And then I think she backed out, right?
She backed out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember why, but
I don't remember.
anyway, so we got all the way to closing.
I have some ideas, but I won't share them.
Yeah, so we got all the way to closing, and then she decides, yeah, I don't think I want to sell the house anymore. I think I'm just going to hang on to it. 3 months later.
Oh, the stove. The stove.
Oh, yeah, she wanted to keep her 10-year-old stove.
Oh, the stove.
Yeah.
The stove.
And then when we have to buy it, she said we can buy it for $5,000.
Originally, yeah.
Which no stove in Home Depot, Lowe's is probably over about 1,000. But she wanted to sell us her stove for $5,000. And you looking at it, it wasn't worth about $25. And so we're like, bruh.
Like
we cannot buy your stove. She's like, then the deal's off. That's fine. We're like, okay, fine. It's not worth it. So we walk away. We do a few more deals. And then finally I was like, Scott's like, well, I'm just call her again, see what's happening. So I called her and we talked for about 5-10 minutes. I offered about $2,000 more. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. You can buy my house now. And so we were closed in the next probably 48 hours.
Yeah, it was quick.
But yeah,
the best part was the stove was still in play though.
Yeah. She still wanted to sell the stove.
Right. So she said, well, can I take this? And this was a full rehab. So, take what you want, leave what you want. Doesn't really matter. And so she calls me and she, don't give out your personal phone number to pass a point. I had a blocker. Anyways, another story. And so you deal with certain people. Anyways, so she calls me. She's like, hey, can you buy my stove? And I said, no, we're not buying your stove.
We have no use for your
I
stove.
said, you can take your stove. That's fine. And she said, okay. So she calls me then the next day. We're about to close, right? She's like, I can't unhook it because it's a gas stove. I need somebody to come out and hook it. So I called a contractor buddy. We paid him $75 to unhook her stove. And she moved it with a U-Haul to her new place. So we close. And then it was like a week later. And I'm thinking, and this was a couple months. It was so funny how the whole thing kind of just kept going forever. Some deals, we have one right now that's been going on for 2 months. And some that just happens. And so she calls me about a week later and goes, hey, do you want to buy my stove? And I said,
no.
We said that. And your house, they've already been working on it. I mean, you're not even there. She goes, well, it's sitting in the middle of my living room because the house that I'm in now already has a stove, which I explained to her. I said, most houses come with stoves, in normal retail situations. You know what I mean? That's pretty normal. So there was that. And she says, well, could you get it out of here for me? I said, no, I can't get it out of here for you. So I'm sorry.
So I think the one
Hopefully
thing
she doesn't watch this.
That'd be the awkward. One thing I'm learning from wholesaling in the last year is that there are some crazy stories you learn along the way, but it just makes the whole game a lot more fun and a lot more frustrating, especially at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, frustrating at the time, hilarious. That's funny now.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I was ready to stomp on my phone. I'm like, if this person calls me again.
$5,000 is not worth it.
Yeah.
But.
So I would say, I mean, that's a nice little nugget right there for folks too is, persevere. We had a chance to do a JV with somebody, joint venture. So sometimes for those that don't know, a wholesaler that gets a deal, but they can't figure out or they can't sell it for some reason, they can reach out to us and then we'll, split the profit and help them sell it, help them with contracts. And it's kind of like a coaching situation. So somebody sent us a JV and we said, oh, this is a good deal. We can sell it. So we sold it and we got it under contract on a Friday. Under the JV contract was a Friday. We sold it that evening and I didn't call the guy and let him know because it was the weekend. So on Monday I call him and say, hey man, we sold the property. Just let's put the information together. And he's like, oh, I let that contract go.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean you let the contract go? It was 30 days, right? He said, oh yeah, I sent him a cancel contract form or whatever it's called. And I said, why? And they're like, oh, it was taking too long. And they only had it under contract for like a week. Yeah. And so, we've done a few JVs where this has happened, not quite to the extreme of this, where they tell us, we get the paperwork together, and before we send it to buyer's list, now we ask, and they cancel the contract. And
It makes us look like a doofus.
yeah, so we got real frustrated because then our buyer was super upset because they were already ready to move in and start working on it. They were excited about it. They put money in escrow even. So, so it ended up being kind of a nightmare. But I say that to say that a lot of wholesalers, we lost out on a big deal for the same reason.
Like 30K.
Yeah, like 30K. And so big deal. And for some reason, wholesalers right now, they feel like if they don't do it in 7 days, then it's a bad deal and get rid of it, right? Well, maybe try on your own for 7 days, right? And then reach out to JV and just let the contract expire. There's no reason, unless you have the owner calling you, why haven't you sold it? Why haven't you sold it? There's certain situations, but
yeah, most wholesale contracts have an out. I mean, if you don't find a new contract because yours sucks.
Right.
So.
Have an out.
Yeah, have an out always. But that's why, we've seen so many people that cancel contracts that it's frustrating. So
because there's really no reason. I mean, you just let it. It's like, think of it as like, a realtor's contract, right? For an MLS listing. So they're going to have a 30-day contract on it. And the realtor's not going to call you in 3 days and say, oh, we've had no offers. Let me cancel it for you. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of a trend right now. I'm finding.
I've had people get mad that we couldn't find a buyer. And they're like, well, you can help me pay for this property? No, just cancel the contract. Like, just let it expire.
Let it expire, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just
don't cancel it. Let it expire.
Don't cancel it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Do you think that like, what do you attribute that to? People wanting it within that week time span?
Gurus.
Yeah.
Gurus.
People have the mentality of quick money.
Yeah.
And when they don't have
20K checks.
Yeah, whenever they don't have that quick 20, 30, 40,000. We did a deal with someone that wanted 80,000 for their assignment fee.
Oh.
Which blew my mind that they wouldn't accept anything less than 80,000.
And and just keep in mind, it was a terrible deal.
It was an awful deal.
At
even at 5,000, it might have worked.
It might have worked at 5. So it wasn't like they got it for free and they just wanted to. Yeah, I mean that can happen.
But 80,000 was over retail.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But anyway, so I think it's attributed to these gurus that flash the $30,000-$40,000 checks on YouTube. Which that's happened to us before, but that's once in a year kind of deal. Like that does not happen every single deal that you get. And if it would, we wouldn't be
working anymore.
We'd be hiring people to run our business for us.
Yeah.
But it's attributed 100% to gurus, to people saying, hey, look at this $30,000 check that I just got. You can get one too. Pay $10,000 for my mentor program.
Right. So, and the fun thing that Joe likes to do, which is really funny.
Yeah. So my biggest thing for anybody listening, when you see that, pause the video, zoom in and see the date on the check. I can guarantee you it's going to be at least 2 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like 10 for 10.
Yeah. He's good at finding.
And the latest I've seen is like 2014. So you see these people that do 1 or 2 deals and then charge $10,000 for a weekend coaching program.
So we charge $25 a call.
Yeah.
That's what we charge.
So
are we charging 50 now? Because 25 is so low.
Anyway, but no, the whole point of it is like, we're tired of gurus saying that you can make $1 million your first year wholesaling real estate when it's just not. There's people that are making 3 to 4 million, but
we know them.
But they're doing this over the course of 5, 6, 7 years,
right?
Building their business. If you make $1 million your first year wholesaling real estate, I want to meet you and shake your hand.
Oh yeah.
So
we will pay to fly you out.
Yeah.
Let us know. I mean, unless you're from California, because that's all deals are like $1 million homes, right? So maybe minus California, right?
Yeah, they're disqualified.
Cute. Yeah. Especially in Indy, right? I mean, you're making $5,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for wholesalers starting out is, a lot of people see the big money and they get discouraged. So I feel like we're kind of on a negative rant, but I mean, I feel like it's important for wholesalers to know because there's so many people, like you said, flashing around all these big checks. And I mean, when the guy brought us that thing and said he was trying to get $80,000,
I laughed at him.
It was crazy. I mean, and the funny thing is that's not uncommon for us. We got one today and it was over. And we told him, we said, hey, this isn't 15, this is $2,000 where you have it at, And people talk about, September 2020 right now and how the market is and stuff. And they're like, well, there's going to be this big crash. There's all this speculation. The reality is the buyers who are flipping homes, the 70-30 rule, learn it, love it, sleep with it under your head, under your pillow at night. That is still what they're buying for. So whenever we've tried this just to test it out, we'll find a house in a good area. It's not a huge rehab, and we'll send it out at, 80-20 because we got it under contract at, over the 70-30 rule. But we're like, yeah, I mean, it's such a good area. If it was me buying it cash right now, I mean, because we're doing this one down south, we had one come up that we're selling where we didn't have the cash because we're in other things. And I was like, man, I'd buy this for this all day. Well, we sent out the buyers list and people unsubscribe. So buyers are very picky about this. Fickle, yeah. I mean, 70-30 that's what it is. And it sounds
60-40, but yeah.
So, and I don't have time for those people.
Yeah.
But 70-30 and then that's why it really is important to know rehab costs. So I also tell people that go on Bigger Pockets, use the tool there, the rehab estimator, and learn what a sink costs, learn what a toilet costs, learn what, what a floor costs, right? $3 a square foot plus or minus $1, right? Yeah. So at least you have a starting point, right? For floors installed. So, yeah, just know what those costs are. That way, when you're doing your math, starting at the ARV and working backwards, you can get good deals, and it's hard right now. So I'm tell everybody wholesaling is very difficult right now. So if you're not willing to make the calls and really do the grunt work of wholesaling, and you have some cap, well, either do that or go move into flipping, because flipping is still very good right now.
Sure, absolutely. That's kind of what I wanted to ask as well, because I know that you had mentioned how you did some deals in El Paso. Mm-hmm. Were those wholesales or flips?
Flip. So I personally only did one. That was when I was in the military. I was only there for a year, so I did one.
Okay.
I was there, and then so I kind of dabble wherever I'm at. So kind of sporadic, different states. But sorry, well, go ahead.
Sure. Well, so what did you? I guess you were military. You were there only for a short period of time, but what did you make of the El Paso market? Like, what were you seeing? What was it like?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it was so 2013 is when I moved there. And I mean, you could basically buy wholesale deals off the MLS. That's how good it was. It was like 2009 and 10 in Florida, where, you got a $250,000. I mean, I remember seeing this $250,000 apartment selling for $50 on the MLS, because they're just trying to get out of it, right? So they don't go under. I mean, it was crazy. And so it felt like that in El Paso originally. And I'm very partial to Latin food. I spent a lot of time in South America myself as well. And so Mexican food's very good. So I love the heat, right? And I'm a big, my wife spent time in Texas. I've spent a lot of time in Texas. I really like Texas a lot. And so anyways, it's nice because it was a low cost of entry. So I bought a house for $105,000, put about $6 into it originally. And it was crazy because the flip I did here in Carmel recently.
You bought retail.
Well, that was on purpose, but I wanted the land basically. Yeah. So anyways, but I was just comparing the fixed numbers, right? And it was just, I mean, I got the whole house painted, including the trim, inside, outside. I think it was like $3,000. I mean, you can barely buy the paint for that, and there's a lot of people willing to work, right? So I think it was like $3,000 for that. I needed to do one bathroom, some stuff in there, a couple new toilets. So that was a couple grand, new water heater, a couple $100. The flooring was the big one, which still was, I paid $1. I think it was $1.17 a square foot installed, which I mean is like free. Up here it's $3 to start,
Yeah.
If you get a deal, it's $2.50, a square foot. So I ended up being about 115 in, maybe 116 by everything was said and done. And I lived in it for about 6 months, 7 months. I deployed during that time. So I was stationed there longer than a year, but I was only there a year, right? So then I rented it out for $1,200 a month. I had it on a 15-year loan because I put a little money down. So I cash flowed on a 15-year note. I just sold it last December for $150, which was top retail. So and I owed 71, so I almost made 80 grand on it. And my total initial investment with the 5%, I did a traditional 5%. So people don't think the 5% down sometimes is a good situation. If you can get a little bit of equity, because it was appraising in the 120s when I bought it even. And so, so 5% down, I was like 5 grand down, made it 100, then 10 or whatever it was. So my mortgage was low, so it made about 80 grand. So yeah, it ended up being a good deal.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I've always been interested with the West Texas market, but frankly, don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's been heating up a lot recently, but there's still a lot of if you go into the groups and go to the wholesale groups, you can find really good deals. It's harder to find. You can't really find them on the MLS anymore. Those are all kind of dried up.
Yeah, we've thought about getting in that market a few times.
Yep.
Sure, absolutely. Well, is there anything else that that you guys haven't said that you'd really just like to hammer home?
I don't think so. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. If you use the PropStream link, we offer a free
7-day trial and free coaching.
Free coaching with it, and then access to a closed Facebook group for coaching. And we charge
about 25 a call.
About 25 a call. So we want to help people, and we've had somebody actually just the lady I talked to today was the third time I talked to her, and she spent $3,500 on a program, and that's been over a month, and she spent like $50 with us, $50. Yeah. And she said, I already learned more in the $50 course than I did in the $3,500. That's kind of our goal. I grew up around in the 90s with the gurus, and gurus aren't bad. I don't mean to like totally make them sound bad, but so they have their place for sure. But for new folks starting out, there's so much free information. We just want to put out the information. I mean, $97 a month for PropStream, one-stop shop,
Yeah. Plus, I think the biggest thing that we offer is that everything we do is, free knowledge on our YouTube. So
yeah.
A lot of people, you see these big gurus that they might have the YouTube channels, but they don't leave out that secret ingredient.
Right. They leave out the secret sauce for the 10,000.
But you'll see in tomorrow's video if anyone tunes in, but we're telling everything. We're telling you basically what it is and how to find out how to do it.
And if you want to know deeper on it and we didn't go deep enough, let us know. We'll make another video.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Like I said, I'd be happy to link that in the description. Aside from your YouTube channel, where else can we find you? You're also on other social media or?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. All of them are the Indy Solution, singular.
Website,
Instagram, Facebook page. Yeah. We LinkedIn, and I think that we are making a Twitter. So we're on all the major social medias. Right.
But primarily find us on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, that's where we hang out.
All right. Very good. Yeah, I'll make sure to put that in the description. I really enjoyed that conversation. Just listening to you guys. You're very, very knowledgeable on two big markets I didn't know about, Indianapolis, and we touched on El Paso for a little bit. So that was great. I really enjoyed having you guys on.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.